So the 80-20 rule. Now, when I was in the military, the 80-20 rule meant that 20% of my troops were going to take up 80% of my time. They were the problem children. And it stood true in every organization I was in pretty much. But in business, what it means is that 20% of what you do or should be doing within your business makes up 80% of your revenue. And I'm going to show you exactly what that 20% is. And what you do every day is, should be working towards building revenue. I mean, it's not all about the money, don't get me wrong, but because if you're adding value in the right way, then you're going to get duly compensated. But there's only a few things that you need to be doing that's on a daily basis that's actually making you money. And these are the 5 areas that 20% includes. It's more leads, more conversions, more transactions, higher prices, and more profits. And just very small incremental changes in each one of these areas makes huge results. And the case studies that I'm going to share with you is going to easily prove that. So this is a profit growth calculator. I actually, it does all the math for me, and it's based off of data that we've used, not just myself, but other business strategists have used for, goodness, the last 20 years. We've been building and building and building all this on the marketing that we do, and not just the marketing, but the business strategies. And what happens when we implement these strategies in the business? We have software where we collect all this data, and this is extremely accurate, but I'm going to keep the numbers very conservative, as I always do. So I'm just going to add all this in here. What this is this is a baseline. So if this particular business model generates 1,000 leads in a year, and then 25% of those leads convert to paying customers, that's 250 new customers for the year. And then the transactions is about, this is a service, obviously would be probably like a service business, or like say for instance, the spa where the kids are going to go once a month or something like that and skip 2 months for summer or whatever. So they use the services 10 times out of the year. Each time's about $100. And so that adds up to $250,000 in revenue generated at a 25% gross profit. That's about $62,000 profit for the business owner. Does all that make sense? And again, this is just a baseline. So if we were to increase each of those areas by just 10%, the bottom line is it increases from $62,000 to just over $100,000 just by improving incrementally 10% each of these areas. And most business owners would be absolutely ecstatic with that kind of a jump after 12 months of incrementally changing just a couple of these strategies by 10%. But, and many business coaches and consultants would be happy with that as well. I mean, I would be happy if I was able to get my client up to 10%, but I'm even happier when I can increase it by 50%. And I easily do that with many of the strategies. Do you all see on my screen, do you see the chat box?
Yes.
You do?
No, I don't see your chat box. I just see your slides.
Okay, good. So that's just on mine. This is the first time I've done this presentation. By the way, I usually do this presentation live at iHeartRadio Media at least once a month. So this is the first time I'm doing it on Zoom. So some of the features I'm just getting used to. So by incrementally changing these, and I personally and my team easily can incrementally change all of these areas by 50%. And the end result is almost $500,000 in 12 months. Now, that seems far-fetched for some people, but I'm going to prove to you that this isn't some pie in the sky stuff that I'm just making up with the numbers, because I've got multiple case studies here. That is a 760% increase in all those areas combined in revenue. This easily financially transforms your business, and this can, all these strategies that I'm going to share with you can be implemented in just about every single business model. We've done it with well over 100 business models, and we've got all the stats on all of that. So let me show you several breakthrough strategies that within each one of these areas. And there's multiple strategies within each one of these areas, but I'm only going to show you one or two, and I'll give you a couple examples. So in your action guide, and for those of you who didn't jump on, if you had an opportunity to download the action guide, then you can go use the action guide to go through this, and you'll be able to write down as we go through, and you'll be able to keep that as notes. And I encourage you to do that. But if you didn't print it out, no big deal. Just make notes as we can go through it. And this is being recorded, so you can go back through it as well. So the fundamentals of marketing is you have to have something good to say, which is your market dominating position. Many people will tell you that you have to have your avatar. You have to know who your ideal client is. And while that is important, even before that, you have to know what your market dominating position is. And I'll share with you what that is. You have to say it well, which is compelling marketing. And you have to say it often, which is repetition. And that one pretty much makes sense. But how you say something and what you say is almost always more important than where you say it. There's a difference between tactical marketing, which is where you market at, where you place your ads, and strategic marketing, which is the difference between demographics and psychographics, and getting into the conversation taking place in your prospect's head at the time that they're having that conversation. So the formula generated by Dan Kennedy, if you don't know who he is, don't worry about it. I'm a geek in marketing, and he's one of the godfathers of direct sales marketing. But he said that you have to pay attention to the market, your message, and the media where you're saying your message at, where you're marketing at. And another strategy is to dominate your profession, you have to have this key to marketing. You have to enter the conversation taking place in your prospect's mind at the time that they're having that conversation. And that conversation evolves around two key points. There's a problem that they have and they don't want, and there's a result that they want but don't have. And if you have the result and you're not sharing that in your marketing, then they never know. I'm going to show you how to express that in your marketing. The way we do that is through this formula called the conversion equation. You have to interrupt your client. You have to interrupt your ideal client. So this would look like if you're watching TV, if you're a golfer, you see Tiger Woods pop up on, he's going to get your attention, or whatever favorite golfer that you have is going to pop up and you're going to get your attention. But then you have to engage them. Now, if you're a golfer and you see Tiger Woods pop up on the screen, but he's in a Buick, you're like, well, crap, I don't want a Buick. So I'm no longer engaged, right? Lost my engagement. So a lot of marketing out there called brand builder marketing, they do this. They interrupt with an animal, a cute animal that talks. Geico's got the gecko. Who is it? They also have the camel. They use all these different things to get your attention. They use babies. They use beautiful women or beautiful men, whatever. But then the engagement is a disconnect. That's where they miss the mark. And these are high paid marketers that do this stuff. Then you have to educate. The engagement is promising that you're going to educate. And why you're educating is because the next thing you're going to do is the offer. Here's where so many people mess this up. They interrupt some engaging headline or picture, something like that, and then they don't really engage them. They might give them a little bit of education about the product or service, and then they say, here, buy my stuff, buy my service, or purchase from me instead of my competitor just because. And you're not giving them a reason to purchase, but the key is they're not looking to purchase right now. They're looking for information. And if you don't give them information, you're going to lose them. They're going to go away. The person and the business that gives the information, that shares the information that the prospect is looking for while they're on Google, on the internet, Facebook, whatever, or on YouTube, TikTok, we probably won't have that conversation today, but don't laugh at me. TikTok is a big medium for marketing right now. But the business that offers the information and gives valuable information, when they are ready to buy, they're going to go back to the business that provided them with the information, not even about their own business, but about that service, about the industry, about that product in general. So here's a case study. And this is a great one. This one's a little extreme, but it's a really interesting story. So this was a cosmetic surgeon who did mommy makeovers. He was paying about $6,000 a month for pay-per-click ads on Facebook and only getting 35 leads. And those leads I question really because of the way he was collecting them. He was really just getting phone calls, which technically wasn't a lead because most people aren't capturing a phone number as a lead. Some are, and there are strategies to do that. But this guy was not. And he was really upset because a couple doors down from him was another merchant, but not a cosmetic surgeon, who was getting leads hand over fist and not spending nearly as much as he was on Facebook. It was a different industry. So, and by the way, I didn't do this one. This was one of my colleagues that did this one. So we said, okay, so what's your ad look like? This was his ad. And it's this picture of a beautiful woman who, I don't know, to me doesn't look like she needs a mommy makeover. And this caption that said, nurture the body that will provoke true envy. Now, does that enter the conversation taking place in the prospect's mind of somebody who wants to do some cosmetic surgeon work, is online, looking for a cosmetic surgeon, looking for mommy makeovers? Probably not. Definitely not. I'll tell you that right now. So let's apply this. What's the market? What's the message? And what's the media? So we figured out that the market was women between the ages of 30 and 45 who had 2 kids or more. Demographically, it's pretty easy these days to find these people through Facebook ads, through targeting through Facebook. iHeartRadio, we can have that conversation later, has tons of data, years of data of all kinds of different demographics and psychographics for that matter. The message is, do you want the body that you had before you had children, before you had kids? And the media, where most of these people are hanging out at, is Facebook, direct mail, radio, and TV. Now, the results from this, just changing that ad from changing this to this, the difference was 300 to 500 leads, about 400 leads per month. That's an 1,100% lead increase simply by changing the ad and what the ad said. Not even really where the ad was being placed, other than putting it on. And that's all they did. They just changed the ad on Facebook, continued making the same investment, but getting much bigger results, actually getting a result, right? So 50% increases, come on. That was just leads. That's just one area.
Wally, was his first ad on his website or?
No, this ad was placed in a Facebook paid ad.
In a Facebook page. I got you.
That's a very good question, Mark, because I'm going to get to where he was sending, because after he got those leads, what I say earlier, the next step is to convert the lead to a paying customer. So what most people do is they will get the lead, and once from the ad, and they send them from the ad, just a one click, boom, they go straight to the website. They're gone. They're lost. Almost every single website that I look at, I have a conversion equation evaluator over here, and I evaluate websites. Very few of them are set up to where they can, one, capture a lead, and 2, convert that lead into a paying customer, because there's too much information. And when there's too much information, we go away. Our mind just shuts down and we click off. 3-5 seconds, we're gone. We're done. We're looking at the next site. Great question. Thanks for that, Mark. So this next case study is a chiropractor specialized in fibromyalgia diagnoses. Does anybody have an idea what fibromyalgia is, or know anybody who suffers from it?
It has to do with muscle pain.
Yeah, pain, and yeah, generalized local, sometimes full body pain. And what this chiropractor figured out was that, amongst other things that a chiropractor can do, I personally go to a chiropractor who I'm missing very much right now, and my acupuncture. But, generally you think chiropractor, you think back pain. You think, you don't think about like numbness in the hands. That's what I have. I have a narrowing my C6 and C7. So I go get chiropractor work. It helps with my shoulder and everything else. But this guy had figured out that fibromyalgia is largely misdiagnosed. So when you present to the doctor and you have pain that the doctor can't figure out where the pain's coming from and why you have the pain, fibromyalgia. And evidently hundreds of people, if not thousands, I don't know the exact numbers, but a lot of people are misdiagnosed. And it mostly women are most of the sufferers from fibromyalgia. So this guy was putting these flyers in the newspaper, this huge flyer, and getting 3 leads per month. He was paying $2,000 to put this flyer in the newspaper. It was just slid into the newspaper and sent out to thousands of people in the community. So let's go back to the market. Let's look at this strategy again. The market was women 18 to 85 who suffered from fibromyalgia. They had massive pain throughout their body. Wasn't sure if it was fibromyalgia or not, but the doctor diagnosed it that way. And therefore, by the way, there's no cure for it. So when the doctor diagnoses with fibromyalgia, you just accept it and say, well, I'm going to deal with this for the rest of my life. This doctor figured out that wasn't the case. Here is the message. If you're misdiagnosed, you're suffering needlessly. And instead of putting the flyer in the newspaper, now what he did was put it on a cable TV ad. And I'll get into the cable TV ad in just a minute, why he had resistance with it, because he had spent a lot of money on cable TV ads. So the media was cable TV, Facebook, pay-per-click, direct mail, and radio. And it was just an audio. There was just this still image and an audio that came on and basically told the story that if you're attention fibromyalgia sufferers, you may be misdiagnosed and suffering needlessly. If you want more information, call this number. And when they called that number, they got a report that they could get emailed to them or sent to them that explained why they're probably misdiagnosed and that chiropractic help could probably help. He didn't mention anything about chiropractic help in this ad whatsoever. He's directly addressing the problem that they have that they don't want and giving them a possible solution that they want but don't have. So this case study resulted in generating 137 leads in 4 days. 4 days is important. The reason why that's important is because I'm going to get into it now because I don't remember if it comes up later. This chiropractor had already been marketing on the cable TV and had decided that it just wasn't working. He was getting no calls whatsoever. So what he did was when Adrian, one of my colleagues, was talking to him about it, and he said, well, I already have a connection with the cable TV. Let's go over there. He goes, nope, don't work for chiropractors. Not going to do it. Well, it turned out the guy still had about a $3,000 credit at the cable company. So Adrian went ahead and drew up the ad, sent it over to the cable company. He recorded it, and they put it out there on the ad. And that $3,000 only gave them 4 days to run that ad. So in 4 days of running that ad for $3,000, he got 137 leads, which was a 4,500 increase in leads. One more case study on this on the leads area is a daycare. So I'll try to get all the different gamuts of give you other examples. So this daycare mailed out postcards to every home within a 5-mile radius. Do you think that every single home within a 5-mile radius has children, let alone children that need to go to a daycare? Can you imagine how much wasted money was spent on these postcards that was sent out to, and I don't know how many people are in a 5-mile radius, a couple thousand, I would imagine, easy. 0 calls, not one phone call. What's the market? Parents that want their kids educated, because this particular daycare specialized in educating the children while they were at daycare, not just watching them. And I'll get into the new ad. And by the way, the reason why we're able to do this, and the reason why I'm able to do this is because when I'm working with a business owner, I'm getting to know remember what I said before, their market dominating position. I'm trying to figure out what their market dominating position is. There are instances, for instance, a child psychologist who has 9 different areas of specialty. But if he tries to talk to all 9 of those areas, then he's going to lose every time. If you're trying to market to everybody and you're trying to talk to everybody, you're talking to nobody. So you got to be specialized, not necessarily niche your business, but you absolutely must niche your marketing and talk to one of the groups of people that you can help at a time. So we could set up 9 different strategies for each of those 9 areas for a child psychologist, for instance. So in this case, the market was parents who want their kids educated, because this daycare educated the children. We guarantee your child will be reading at a 1st grade level prior to entering kindergarten. That was the message. And the media was networking, targeted direct mail. You do demographics. It's easy to find this stuff these days. And you only send, if you're going to send physical marketing, door hangers, postcards, stuff like that, you only send them to the people who are actually in your market. You don't, if you're an HVAC company, I have a client who has an HVAC company and was sending marketing to apartment complexes through Valpaks. What's the point? You know, anybody in an apartment complex care about HVAC services? No, only they're going to call the landlord, right? They're going to call the owner of the building. So some of the other marketing areas there as well. Here was the ad. This is what we put out there, and it can be online. It can be a flyer. It can be, this could be, you know, could put it in the newspaper, but I think it'd be a waste. You'd want to be more targeted, as I was saying. And the ad would say something like this: is your child's idea of a good education watching Barney on TV? Now get this. If I've already got my child in a daycare, and I've had my child in this daycare for the last 2 years since the child was 1, maybe 2, and I'm happy with the daycare. It's close to home or close to my work, whichever, and I'm not considering changing. But all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, I come across this ad that says, is your daycare's idea of good education watching Barney on TV, and that we can have your child reading at a 1st grade level by the time he's in kindergarten. Now I'm going to consider changing my child to this daycare if it's close enough, if it makes sense, if it's close to my home or my work, right? Before I wasn't even considering it. Now I am. That's important when I start talking about now the difference between now buyers and those that don't even know you exist and don't even know that they need your services yet. So this case study result generated them 58 new leads, and they literally had to stop the ad. They ended up creating a waiting list for people to get into this daycare. And by the way, this is a cool story because this lady had 10 daycares. She ended up selling all of those daycares for just over $1 million and got out of the business. She was stressed. Couldn't keep them full at the time. And now, you know, who knows what, you know, I know they're going through a lot of problems right now. So write this in your action guide or in your notes if you have it there. The secret to generating leads is market, message, media, and the conversion equation. And if you have any other notes or any other questions, go ahead and write them down. And before I go on, does anybody have any comments or questions at this point? Is it all making sense to you, or is it like way out in left field? I see a couple of head nods and stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks, Wendy. Awesome. All right. Then you can go ahead and rate the relevance of this strategy to your business and your proficiency in this, and be honest with that, because I'm going to share with you at the end of this how you can get much more of this information. And by the way, if I didn't make it clear, and if you didn't see my stuff on Facebook or wherever you got introduced to me at, I'm not selling anything here. I'm selling absolutely nothing. No BS, no sell, no, not selling anything, no upsell, anything like that. I'm literally just